Are you stuck on the sales roller coaster? Are you an accounting firm, a financial professional, a coach that, you do a lot of selling and then get really busy and then drop sales, especially in accounting during tax season? We're going to talk today how to fix that in less than 30 days and how Kristen McGarr here. Kristen, say hi.
Hey everyone.
Kristen helped one firm grow almost 300% by putting the system into place. We're going to tell exactly how she did it, how fast it started working, the biggest mistakes people make in CRMs, how much you should be following up, what's the biggest mistakes in follow-up, all of this, and how to work with Kristen and get this done really, really fast on this Garlic Marketing Show. All right, let's get started. It's so interesting because it's such a roller coaster, I know, for accounting firms, tax season, and they get so busy doing what they're doing, and that ends up actually costing them in the long run, doesn't it?
It really does. You get so caught up in that delivery, and there's this huge ebb of all of the work that needs to be done. And it all has these really strict deadlines around it, right? And so you're just trying to serve so many people so quickly. But it does create challenges later on in the year and long term sustainability years to come.
And why is that happening? Well, what explain to me the mechanism that's causing this problem of lack of growth because of tax season?
Yeah. So what we see with a lot of firms is you're really busy delivering on these tax clients, and there's a lot of communication demand that comes around with it, right? Think about anytime you're doing your taxes, all of this paperwork that has to come along with it, right? You're collecting that from each one of these individual clients. There's a lot of back and forth. There's very, time heavy to just gather the information. Nonetheless, then go and actually prepare the tax documentation and then the additional back and forth that happens once it's prepared and then filing it. So there's so many steps in the process that are taking place. And you're spending so much of that time in your email and on the phone and in communication that you can continue delivering on your existing accounting clients. But the idea of taking time to do sales for these small businesses it's not there, right? And
Mhm.
more often than not, accounting firms don't have a special BD person that's doing that work, right? It's the person who's delivering on the services is also selling to new clients or selling to the referral clients. And it's really hard to focus on that sales aspect when you're so busy caught up in the delivery.
It is. I mean, and that's not just accounting. It's every small business. They get really busy and they stop selling, stop really trying to close, and then it dries up, and then they have to start back all over again. And so you, what's the solution to this?
Great question. So this works. I see this with solopreneurs and micropreneurs and small business leaders. And the solution is to have technology that supports you and not technology that controls you, right? And what I mean by this is
Mm,
when we put a CRM system in place, one that is designed to help remind you, help you get triggers on when to reach out to someone next, it's working in the background so that you're not having to remember to do an outreach to someone. So, for example, you have a conversation with a prospect, right? And it's a great conversation. It's going really well. And as soon as you hang up that phone, it rings again, or you get an email in from a tax client you're working on, or from an existing client you've got to take care of some delivery for. So you're focused on doing that work. If you had your CRM up while you were talking to that person and could simply click and say, you know, at a meeting, at a call 2 weeks from now, right? And it's a one-click button to just say, reach out again in 2 weeks. You could, in those few seconds, now forget all about it. 2 weeks later, it's going to pop up and remind you. Normally, what happens is 2 months go by and you go, wait a second, what happened with that conversation I was having? Because you've just been so busy in delivery mode. I see this happen with coaches and consultants a lot of the time, with fractional professionals who just get really busy in the hands on delivery of the work. That these sales skills, like tactics that we should be doing, they just slide, right? And generally, most people think, oh, if I follow up with somebody one or two times, that's good. That's usually okay if it's a really strong referral. But if this is a colder lead or somebody that just found you or someone that doesn't know you as well, it could take 5, 6, 8 times reaching out to them again before you really get somewhere. And you're not going to be able to remember to do that on your own when you're busy delivering work. If it was your only job as a salesperson, you would still struggle to remember to do that, right?
Yeah.
And that's where these tools come into play.
You know, and two things that come up there. I think a lot of people think 5, 7 times you're bothering someone, and then also, let me just automate all this, right? And completely automate it. Tell me what do you say to those two things? Because I have my opinion on it, but I want to know, is 5 to 7 times bothering someone? And should you 100% automate all this into these high ticket prospects?
So 5 to 7 times in a week or 2, 100% bothering someone. Don't be that person, right? We don't want that, right? No one wants to be sold to like that, so don't do it, right? You would not appreciate it if someone was reaching out to you that way, so you're not gonna do it. But think about what you feel comfortable with, right? And that's the approach you should take. Typically, when we think about 5 to 7 times, we are spreading this out over time. I have a tactic that I like to call the rule of doubles. And any math majors out there, you're going to understand it's not quite double, but just bear with me on it. So essentially, what I do is day one, reach out, right? I roughly double that, and then it's 3 days, right? Roughly double again, and I look at a week, right? I know a week has more than 6 days, but again, bear with me. So you're now doubling this each time. Now, the next time it's add another 2 weeks to that and then reach out again. Now you're going to add a full month and reach out again. Now you're going to add 2 more months on top of that and reach out again. So now over a 5 month period, you've been reaching out 5 to 6 times. That way, wherever they are in their cycle, you're showing up for them, right?
Yeah.
You're going to pop in. And sure, could you fully automate the whole thing? Absolutely. But chances are pretty good if you've done that and they reach back out to you, you're going to forget to turn off the automation or something's going to happen and you're going to hit them again and it's going to feel forced and it's going to feel awkward. We instead automate reminders to you to pop up a task that says, "Hey, today's the day to reach out," with email number 3. And by the way, email number 3 is your case study, and we've already pre-drafted the email, so just go ahead and click send on it, right? So there's ways to streamline the process, but not to fully automate it if you want to really be genuine, which I think most of us in this professional services and consulting and coaching businesses really do want to continue to be genuine.
Yeah, and people want to be feel I mean, I've talked about this a lot, hyper-personalization. They wanna feel like you do care about them, and that little bit of reminder, even if you personalize that email a little bit, is gonna go a long way. I mean, I know there's so many things I'm like, "Oh, man, I wouldn't do that." And just the other day, someone came by my house, they're like, "Hey, you know, I noticed this thing in your backyard. Do you wanna fix this?" And I'm like, "Not right this second, but please email me. I do wanna fix it," right? And they didn't follow up with me. And they might not need to follow up with me 3 times, but I would have done it eventually. I need someone pushing me.
Mhm.
Um,
It's
I think it's
true.
especially especially true for accounting because most of us don't wanna do that.
That's one of those things, and when I talk with a lot of my accounting clients that comes up, right, is it's painful to go and switch to a new accounting firm. I also often equate it with, like, opening up your underwear drawer, right? It's really personal to just give someone your books, like, it's very, very personal, and they've got to form some sort of connection and trust with you before they're just gonna open up the books, and especially for most of us as small businesses, we don't understand our books, so we don't even know what we're giving you in the first place or how messy it is. It can be overwhelming, and we have to take that into account, right? What are our prospects feeling? What are they thinking? Put yourselves in their shoes. Have this empathy for the person on the other end of the line and speak to them accordingly.
Um, so you've done I mean, obviously, you've done this over and over again, and you were a chief revenue officer, a fractional chief revenue officer, and you've helped with like, in the last episode, we talked about how you grew a accounting firm 35%, 50-person firm, which is a huge when you get to those numbers, but you helped tell me about the story about almost tripling a small accounting firm. Tell me about how who they were and how they came to you.
Yeah, so originally they just came to me because they needed some CRM support, right? They had gotten a new CRM in place and just didn't know what to do with it. Just needed some technical, thought they just needed some technical ideas on where do I go? Where do I click? How do I add an opportunity? And, what do I do next? Right. And what we discovered was, well, yeah, the technology is good and it can work for you and you can get some flashy reports. But if you don't have a process behind it, that's where you're going to run into a hurdle. And this comes up over and over again is that I will see people go out there and get a CRM off the shelf, ready to go, perfect for you to use. And then you take it and go, okay, well, what now, right? Yes, I can see that there's deal stages, but I don't know what to do with them. I don't have a process that ties to this. When should I follow up? Yes, the deal's sitting here and I put in a close date, but what should my close date be, right? And these are the types of things that we work through and help to determine. So with this particular firm, really small shop, they had 4 people, couple of part-time in there. And we're really struggling, right? With the ebbs and flows of it. They're a full service firm. So they do the bookkeeping, accounting, tax, CFO services, tax planning, all of it. And when it's tax season, tax planning, accounting services, bookkeeping, payroll, all of those just kind of fall to the wayside. Not that they're not still delivering on them, but they're not thinking about selling them, right? They're
Yeah.
not thinking about that part. And that's your recurring revenue. That's what
Mhm.
should matter, right? Recurring revenue is what's going to help you grow for the long term and not have to deal with these ups and downs. And so, what we did was not just put the CRM in place, we put a process in place that the CRM supported, right? And we built that
Yeah.
process into the CRM. So now it's a matter of going in and an email comes in from a referral from a client, and you can simply click a button and have it automatically add that person into your CRM. And once they get added into your CRM as a lead, you get a task to follow up and reach out with them. And then these task series just start happening. So by simply receiving an email and clicking one button, all of this other action just took place. You're not having to go and say, okay, let me pull up my CRM and type in this person's name and their information and go through this. That's an administrative task that not even a dedicated salesperson wants to do, nonetheless, someone who's busy delivering on work. So we build all of this process around how can you work as efficiently as possible, but still be personal. Right. And so
Mhm.
there was no, hey, just send a blanket email out to them. It was, here's your task reminder. It's been 7 days. Reach out. Here's the email you should send. Okay. Then we have a highlighted block in that email template. Edit this, put in a personal touch, write in a note, right? It's these reminders so that you're not having to use all this mental load to think about what do I do next. And those little changes, while they were incremental at first, really made this huge difference. Um, it wasn't overnight, right? It
No.
takes time to start to work that muscle and understand you've got to work a pipeline. But once they got that understanding of like, how do you keep going into your pipeline? How do you then make sure you're moving the deal into those next stages? That's when they could start to forecast and predict and see, oh, we might need to add a new accountant to the team soon because of where all these deals are progressing and because we have a high likelihood of this changing. And that made them start to think about their business on this more holistic level that they weren't able to before when they were just kind of living client to client.
Yeah. No, and like you said, if you're doing the tax work and you're really busy, you also not just you don't have time to sell, but also you're like, I don't want to sell anything else, right?
Yeah,
uh, and you know, did they have a sales process in place ahead of time? Because I see a lot of these businesses don't. I mean, people that sell marketing, I'm like, what's your sales process? And they're like, well, I have one. I'm like, can you show it to me? And they're like, well, it's in my head. What
yeah.
was this accounting firm you were talking about? Did they have a sales process in place?
No, not really. I mean, everyone, most people I talk to feel like we kind of have a process. Somebody calls in and we talk to them and then we send them some information and then we sign them up, right? And that's about the extent of what this process was like. And that's pretty common what I hear. So what was great was that they did have a good process for how they communicate their information and what they can do. And so they had some really strong communications already in place because they wanted to make sure that their prospects and their clients had clarity as to what they were getting, right? Because there is
Yep.
this ambiguity of what you may be getting from services, and everybody does it a little bit differently. So they did have a lot of clarity around that. What we did was we took that one email that was 6 paragraphs long and we broke it out into a series of messaging that was a little bit easier for people to digest, and get in front of them, right? And that made a difference because then we could start to see a really cool trend, which was typically it was email 2 and 3 that people were the most interested in. Could
Oh,
sometimes it's timing, right? But a lot of times it was the content and it was the
yeah.
messaging that we put in there. I do this a lot where we'll flip a message around, put message 4 in where message 2 was, just to see if it's a timing thing. It's not. It was the message, right? And so
Yeah.
that lets us know what's most important to your clients. Well, in this case, it happened to be that really hands-on white glove communication style. And we saw this come in down the line where when a client was unhappy, right, it was because that communication had faded a little bit because they were so busy, right?
Mm.
So we talk about this is that those key factors that make your clients want to come and work for you are not only what you're doing in your sales process, it's what you then carry over into your delivery. So keep communicating in that same fashion, and your CRM can help you with that too, right? Quarterly touch bases, monthly check ins, those periodic outreaches to existing clients are just as critical as those ones that you're doing in the prospecting phase, if not more so.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think we talked about in the previous episode, but like, never lose a customer again. The whole idea of the first 100 days is so important. And that keeping those clients is where the money's made. I've had clients that I've had to have that talk with because we don't do that. And I'm like, you have to market to your new clients. You have to give them the service. And I think there's two critical points that I want to make sure is that I think so many people think CRM and they think it's the techniques, but you've talked so much about the content and the pacing and the human touch. Eh,
Yep.
eh, how can someone make sure that they do that part right?
Yeah, this is really where that personalization comes in, right? Where you bring your own firm's personality to it. How many times do you as your company say, "Well, we're different than the other guy because," right? So taking a tool off the shelf that everyone's using, even if it's everyone in your industry is using, where's the differentiation in that, right? And so making sure you're bringing in that personalization. Don't just use standard canned messaging that's in there. Um, Most CRMs do not come with a great built-in sales cadence, right? And so it's using techniques like that, the rule of doubles that we put out there, is a great way to start to come up with what that messaging cadence should be, and putting that in place.
Oh.
Don't over automate. I think I can't emphasize this enough. So many people think, oh, the technology is here. It is going to change the day. The technology is not going to change everything in your business. The technology is going to support the humans in your business and helping them change the day, right? And so that's the big piece that you got to factor in. This technology is here to support your people, not to control the people on your team, right? And I think the more firms really get that and understand that, the more you look at configuring your CRM in such a way to support everyone and not to, control and measure and track everything. It's really what does a salesperson need? What does an accountant need? What does a consultant need that's working within the system? That's what we're always looking at building for.
When you with this firm, when they signed up, how long before they started seeing, I mean, obviously the 300% growth didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Feeling a little bit of relief.
Mhm.
Uh, sometimes because I know I've gotten technologies, I've got one right now. It's like 90 days later, and I'm like, this thing's still killing me. It hasn't done anything. Um, when's the first time they feel relief with your system?
Yeah. So our goal is the second you open it on day one, you're going to start to feel relief. You might feel a little bit of, oh my gosh, what is all this? But you're also going to feel relief in other areas where you felt pain before, right? A brand new system can take a little bit of time to get used to. It can take time to build habits when you're doing it, right? We always talk about habit stacking and habit building. You're doing it in all aspects of your life. It's no different with your technology. when we're first putting in your information, most people are coming from post-it notes and spreadsheets and notebooks or a completely disorganized CRM or email only, right? Where it's hard to find your information. We focus on making sure that your information, your data that you currently have is organized in the system so that you can very easily see it in a way that makes sense for you, that's digestible. So you can start to feel this relief on day one when you open it up and go, oh, I thought I had 100 prospects that we were really out there working. Well, when I put them in here, I can see there's really 13. So I need to increase my pipeline, right? And it's sometimes it's just that like slap in the face reality of what's going on. And when you can visualize your data because it's structured so well in the system, um, that hits you on day one. And
Yeah.
that's really important. The overwhelm can set in because now all of a sudden you start to see, I have to do other things now. I have to build a pipeline more. I have to go and reach out. But this is where we bring that ease. This client, one of the biggest things was she'd always had a referral program in place, but hadn't really communicated that consistently. When she
Mhm.
did, we started messaging it out. More and more referrals from clients started coming in because they're happy with her, right? I mean, that's the goal. Your clients
Yeah.
should be happy, and they are. And so they were happy to share contact information and connect her with other people. And she kept growing her clients in that way. Well, at one point, we were like, let's just get some stats. Like, how many of her clients are actively participating in the referral program? So we used her CRM system and we ran the numbers, and 47% of her clients are actively part of the referral program in which they get a discount off their services, right? Like, so not all
Wow.
referral programs are structured that way, but like, how crazy was that? This one point in time when we looked at this, that like almost half of her clientele was referring to her actively and getting a benefit for themselves from it, not only just making sure that they,
Yeah.
made their cohorts happy, right? So that's where some of these game changers come into play when you can share that information with others. It comes to light, right? It really brings the reality of it, and that's impactful. People go, well, gosh, if everyone else is doing this, maybe I should too, right? And just by regularly putting it out there, I mean, we remind people at least twice a year with her firm that she's got this referral program just to keep people going and on top of it. Even the ones who are existing right now getting that benefit from it, we're still messaging to them again, "Hey, don't forget, you can add more. You can get more
Yeah.
discounts, right? Keep going." And you don't have to have a referral program that includes discounts or incentives in order for it to be effective. We did this with a lot of clients that don't have that. But this is just one way that we wanted to get her explosive growth rapidly. And it just made perfect sense across the board.
That's fantastic. Um, it, and so, coming back to it, I just want to remind people, like, because I think we kind of glossed over it, and people are like, oh, maybe I'm losing a few leads. Like someone like this, how many high quality leads do you say she was losing during tax season?
All of them? No, I mean, I would say probably 70% to 80% were falling off.
Oh my
Doesn't mean she
god.
lost them forever, right? She was able to then get back to them. A lot of times, especially in accounting, you'll find that people are looking for you at a certain point of time in their business, and they may reach out, but they're not ready yet. And you've really got to keep following up with them in order to hit them at the right time, right? So um, you don't necessarily lose them forever. But she did in the short term. When it comes to new tax clients reaching out in that time, I mean, you're closing them same day when you talk to them. So
Yeah.
that's a different story. But when we're talking this long term recurring revenue sort of growth, yeah, most drop off because you really nailed it earlier, Ian, when you said I don't even want to take on a new client because I don't think I have the time to deliver on them properly and service them
Yeah.
properly, right? And so there's this fear and this hesitation. Well, if you are leveraging your system to truly communicate and you've got a great onboarding process built within your system and these regular cadence of reminders, a lot of that fear of I'm not going to service them properly, I'm not going to create the right experience for them is going to go away because you can build your whole onboarding process in tasks into your CRM as well, right? Now I know a lot are using, tax domes or other operational systems that are out there, but you could definitely build in onboarding. We do this for a lot of coaches out there What does that look like to bring them in? You got to send out your intake form. You've got to schedule that first kickoff meeting. Then you've got to do your follow up with them. You've got to gather some additional information. You're going to have your third meeting with them. All of these are tasks that can be added into the system for you automatically. When you mark that deal as one, bam, you're going to get them with all of the dates scheduled out. You don't have to remember, oh my gosh, I forgot step 3 in the process. It's right there in the system for you. This allows you to sell with more confidence, even when you're busy.
Selling confidence. Also, like you mentioned, the clarity into like how many leads you have. What, for this firm, what did that clarity do for them? Because I mean, obviously you sleep better at night, because you're not waking up. I mean, I remember like when I bartended and I'd wake up, like I still do this. I'm like, oh, I forgot so-and-so's drink, right? It's like, and I do this now, right? I forgot to email so-and-so back. So you're sleeping better at night. But what does that clarity do to someone's business?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great question. And even just 2 weeks ago, I had an amazing conversation with her, right? It's about 2 years after we started doing this. And I was thinking back to initially when we had a conversation and she saw how few leads were actually in the pipeline and how little she had, and was even questioning, like, can I sustain this business? Can I keep making payroll? Can I keep this going? Does this make sense for me? Right. And a lot of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs are questioning that themselves, right? And wonder, like, can I make this happen? It doesn't look like it from the numbers that I'm seeing. And I absolutely loved the conversation I had with her a couple weeks ago as we were looking at, what does all of 2026 look like for her? And we had set a goal for new clients. And just the pure confidence she answered with, like, even had me sit back in my seat because she was absolutely 100% confident she was going to hit those new accounting clients with no problem, right? It was transformative for the way that she saw herself and saw herself in her business. And that was just so impactful. And it was, the data helped her along the way build that confidence. But this was her, right? Growing in her own profession. But absolutely when she could see the data that backed up her gut feeling, it was reinforced, right? And that's really a key component.
Um, Tell me, I always love, we're obviously 300%, lots of money. That's all awesome. And, we talk about money all the time. But, I think people don't realize what this does to their lives when they're have this confidence and the clarity and know the sales are coming in. You can say, oh, I need to hire someone here and make like these decisions that they don't spend weeks on. Um, how's her life different?
I love that. So, um, you know, she, like many out there, was working 78-hour weeks generally. Now, for some people, we're like, oh, we're supposed to work a 40-hour week, right? I don't know anybody who's doing that right now, but good for you if you are. um, she literally declared from 70 to 80, they are now working 50 to 60-hour tops, even in peak season. They are really
Wow.
able to reduce. I mean, that's huge, huge. And we still say, wow, 50 to 60. I'd love for you to back it up a little more, but that's massive to go from 70 to 80 hours, basically doubling what you should be to only being over it by about 10 hours. Like, that's absolutely transformative. It allows her to have a life, right? What is her life like? She has one, right? She can go out and
Yeah.
just enjoy some downtime, and just take time for herself, have weekends back for herself, right? Have evenings. Um and her partner that's working this with her gets the same thing, right? Like, it's collectively throughout the organization now, as they're growing, they're able to do this. And a lot of times we find this, like, oh gosh, we're in growth mode. Like, everybody just double down on what you're doing, and they're in growth mode and are able to step back some and reduce that hour load, while continuing this growth. And they have
Wow.
the confidence to do this, that, hey, we can step back and we're still going to make ends meet, right? Not only make ends meet, we're going to continue to see increased profits. That's absolutely life changing.
It, this is something I just want to get across so much because I see, I talk to attorneys and I talk to, our clients that are accountants and digital agencies, like I said, coaches, and everyone thinks they're going to scale and sell really hard into that freedom. And it's, if you don't do what you say, what you're doing here, you're not going to. I've seen so many people like, I'm just going to sell harder, harder, harder. And you get on that roller coaster, you sell harder, you have nothing there, and you're back down, and you're still working 80 hours a week. And that's a big lie that's being told to people. Like, oh, you're going to scale and make money versus, hey, start profiting and enjoying it now. I think that's just crucial for people to understand.
Absolutely. And it's this scaling versus growing, right? I think sometimes we conflate those terms. And
Mm,
I somebody mentioned that the other day, and I was like, that is a fantastic point that those are two very different things. And most of us are in growth mode and not necessarily in scale mode. And that's something to keep in mind. And as we are growing, oftentimes we do take on more and more work. We're not growing into freedom necessarily. Scaling could certainly get you there, but that's a whole different ball game. And so
yeah.
when you're in this growth, it's really just looking for little opportunities for efficiency, and leveraging the technology and the tools you have around you to get there.
And yeah, and getting to profit. And then, hey, if you do like get profit in a life so that you can enjoy it now, because scaling for, I mean, most of these small businesses, so few get over $1 million, right? And then getting to 3 million is less, and then 10 million. And those are completely different skill sets. But here it's like, hey, now you can have money you take home, enjoy your life, enjoy your work, and it takes a lot of the stress off of it. I just know I've seen it, and I think it's something that needs to change. And it's awesome that you're doing this. And so tell me, uh, you know, because what I love is we talked about your process and on the last call, but I want to go over this process again. So how, like, it's like day one. How long does it take to get to day one? Tell me the process of starting with you and getting on board.
Yeah, absolutely. So when clients start off with us, we've put together an intake form, just collecting some basic information. And each step along the way, it's like, what's your sales process? If you have one, if you don't worry, we've got it covered for you, right? But sometimes people do have certain nuances in their sales process they want to make sure are included. Other times they don't. So we have them fill out this intake form. Some clients wrap it up in 5 to 10 minutes. I've had others that spend about 20 minutes or so on it. But we put together this. Once we take that intake form, our team is going to digest it. And we're not just looking at it from a technology perspective. We're looking at it from the perspective of a chief revenue officer, right? And so we are
Mhm.
evaluating it from that light and making adjustments and putting some plans in place on what your system's going to have. From there, we start to build out your system and get it ready to go for you. So we take what we already have, what our model is, and then we add in what you put in your intake to it. From there, you've now got your configured system. Our goal is within 30 days, we're going to have this system over to you, and you're ready to start using it. And this timeline I find is really important. A lot of times we will spend for larger clients, we're going to spend years building out, iteratively the right tool. But within 30 days, you should have the basics, especially as a smaller business, right? You should be able to see your data, have it tangibly in front of you, have analytics that you could look at and go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I know how to take action on that data I'm looking at now, right? And that's a key element, like actionable analytics. You're going to get training videos from us, not only on how to use the system, right? Little 30, 60-second clips instead of, let me go Google how to add a lead and find a 30-minute video that you have to parse through. Right? We're giving you bite-sized tangible stuff, and you'll see those all over our YouTube channel. But in addition, we're giving some personalized ones specifically to your process and your system configured, right? So that not only you get to use this, but let's say you add another team member in the future, give them the library. You're not even going to have to onboard and train them. They can watch the library and follow along. We also include sales best practices videos for those who need it, right? Who could use a little bit of extra sales acumen and boost in there. All that's included. And then we, of course, do the personal onboarding and training. And then from there, a lot of our clients they have exactly what they need from that and are off to the running. Others look at, well, what else can I do now? This is great. Where else can I become efficient? Can we add in project management? Can we add in, a calendar booking? Can we do these other aspects? Can we add surveys that we're going to send out to our clients? And then we can support them in getting all of these other features set up, all tied together, integrated within their one system.
Love it. I love it. And how long does that take?
So that initial process of getting them from the time we meet up and get their intake form to getting their system launched that they're able to start using to send out their communications, see all their information, that's 30 days.
Wow. I mean, it's 30 days to start transforming your life. And and in the case of your client that we're talking about, when did they start to see like a big uptick in growth? How long after that was?
Yeah, I would say, you know, she had never really tracked it before. So, I mean, obviously she had her books, right? Her accounting books that she could see. But she had never really tracked what it looked like in the iterative moments before. And so the next month, she started to see that uptick because it was being tracked in such a way. And so right away she was like, okay, there's another one, there's another accounting client that's in there. There's another tax client that's closed. And so um rather than waiting for the check to come in and seeing the results in QuickBooks down the line, she was seeing the information right away when she got the signed agreement and can mark that in, and she could see the data that way. And so I think that was helpful because um, it's that kind of unrealized revenue that's coming through that had a lot of
Mhm.
power for her to help her really get more confidence that it was going to continue down that track. And like I said, that was, you know, within the first week because she finally put something
Jeez.
in a place where she was tracking it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean that confidence coming back to the sales thing, and I think this is important that you are a CRO, you understand sales because so many people that do CRMs were no offense, or technologists, and they're not around sales. And part of I think we mentioned it before, but sales is psychology. And I think this is something that gets way underestimated is like your confidence in your product and your confidence in your numbers and confidence and ability is so crucial to your sales. And doing this will boost your confidence and it'll transform how you talk about your business, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it's,
Absolutely.
I mean, how, yeah, I mean, I just think that that's an amazing thing. And so if someone wants to get started, how do they get started with you?
Yeah, so just visiting our website, you can go right on there and schedule time with us. We have uh, our initial consultation call. It really is just our opportunity to learn about your business and see what it is that you're looking to accomplish and determine what the right fit is, right? And we'll give you some direction right there and let you know. My goal is every time you talk to me, you're going to learn something, right? You're going to get
Yeah.
something out of it. Quick wins. I have a lot of people who have an existing CRM and they're just not using it well enough, right? And we have that conversation. By the time we get off that 30-minute call, they're already going to have something that they're doing more efficiently in their system before ever like engaging with me or signing any contracts or anything else like that. Like they're going to win. And that's my ultimate goal because at the end of the day, the more clients that see success over here, the better off we're going to see organizations across the board. The fewer phone calls we're all going to get from slimy salespeople, right? Like it's a win-win situation. That's what we want out there. And so that really is like that's the best way is just reach out, get that initial conversation going with us. If you already know right off the bat that you want the CRM, we have an easy way for people to just go ahead and click and sign up for that, and then we just send you the intake form and get going right away.
All right. We'll put a link to all of that in the show notes and also linked to Kristen's LinkedIn. She puts a lot of amazing content out there. Like this episode will be out there. And getting started. But Kristen, thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here. I really love being able to share what we can offer and what we can do for people, and happy to continue the conversation with you, Ian.
And folks, if you don't have a sales process and a CRM, I think this is probably the number one thing you need to do. If you were a small business owner, if someone doing this right for you will transform your business. So make sure to reach out to Kristen. And thank you all for making Kristen and I part of your story. This has been Ian Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.